Hello guys, today I just wanted to demonstrate some important things in SAP HANA. So I will show you that how you can create your own schema, as well as like how you can create your row level table, column level table, and table type as well. Along with that, I will also show you that how you can actually import data from flat file to your HANA tables. So let's begin one by one. So first thing is that I just wanted to show you that how you can create your own schema. So I'm currently in uh, the system tab. You can see, as you have seen in last time, I have shown you the perspective, and I have select the development perspective for this usage. So just let me click on this a node, that is a primary node, and I'm going to an SQL console. So once it's get opened, it's very simple to create a schema. You can see these are the schema which are currently available on the cloud HANA, which I have shown you in last video as how to install and set up your environment in the cloud HANA. So now let's create a schema for my own with a basic structure which will be created automatically once I will define the schema name and ask HANA to create it. So simple thing is that let me create it very quickly. It's a simple command, create schema, and you can give your schema name. Let me give a name like my schema. Let me give some kind of a date for today, that is 2018, and let's say month of November. So, and let me create it. So let's see what it will say. Yeah, you can see that it has been created successfully. So to get that one in the catalog, what you have to do, simply go there, right click and do a refresh. So once you refresh the catalog, then you can see that your new schema will be showing in the tree. So you can see it is coming up over here. So this is the schema I just have created. You just click on the expand button. You can see the default folder structure have been created already by HANA, so which has been set by your administrators. Now all these folders are currently empty. So just an example, so if you go to tables and see what are the contents over there, you will see this is completely empty because my schema is a new schema. So there will be nothing at this moment. So this is the way you can simply create your own schema, but in real-time scenario, developers not normally creating their own schema. So schema usually getting created by admins depending upon the environment, best practices, project need, and obviously for the security structure point of view. Okay, now quickly let me show you like how you can create your own table, like if you have the privilege. Otherwise, normally for SAP HANA data modeling point of view, you will already have your defined tables created by the admins, or if you need any additional table, they usually create that one for you, and on top of that you're supposed to do your modeling on the view level. But as I have the privilege, or you will also have the privilege on the cloud system, so you will be entitled to create your own table, because until unless you create your own table, you will not be able to practice in a good manner, right? So let me show you how to create a table. It's pretty simple. So you can see there is a table folder, and you can just simply do a right click, and here you can see the option called new table. So I'm showing you this is based on the GUI level. So click on the new table. So it will show give you another window, like where you can define your own table. Now see, this is a overall new window which is showing you the blank table name because it is a new table name. So you have to define your table name. Then it is asking for a schema. As I have created the schema and just I'm selecting the create table function from the schema itself. So by default, the schema name is popping up over here. That is the one. But if you click on the drop down, you can see all the schemas wherever you would like to create the table. Now the most important part of it is a type of table. So there we'll have three types. One is called row store, that is a row level store. Next one is the column store, that is a column level store. And number three is the table type. So normally, like as we know, the row store and the column store, we are physically storing the data in the table itself, and the table type is basically the structure. It's called a type of table, like how the type of table will looks like, which you can in future reference to create the other objects. Now let's concentrate on creating a row store table. So select on the row store, and table name you can give like my table row, just an example. Any name you can give because it's just a testing. And in the column you can see that it is showing as a column, and you have tab called indexes, you have tab called further properties, you have tab called runtime information. But as we are creating it new, so let's concentrate on the columns. So let me create a column 1 that is called ID, and then I'm creating a column, second column called name, and creating the third one, let's say creating address. So now the second thing is that you have to choose the data type. So for the data type, if you click on the drop box, you can see the list of data types there. So for ID, I know like what kind of an ID I'm going to store. So for that one, I'm actually selecting my own data type. Let's say the bint. So you can see it is there. And for name, I know it will be varchar, so let it be varchar. And for address, I'm actually trying to store in varchar because there can be special characters as well. Now interesting part here it is, see there is a third column, so which is called dimension. So dimension is nothing but the length. No. Okay, so for the dimension, what I was talking about, so this is nothing but a length of your data type. So you can see this is a varchar. If you click on the dimension, by default it is always coming as a 1, but name, obviously you cannot keep your name field to one character, right? So let's say put it as 100, just an example. And for address, let's put it as a 200. And it depends upon the type of data or the length of data, whatever we are going to store. And the next thing is that if you can see there is a uh, third property is called Columnstore Datatype. If you go over there, it is not showing you anything because we are actually creating row store. Now the another most important part is the key. So this is a key basically called the primary key. So if you know that which column should be the key, so you just click on the key and then it will be automatically selected. And you can see it here because as we're talking about primary key, so you all know in the RDBMS world that primary key is a combination of unique key and not null. That's the reason you can see that not null is automatically getting selected. And then there will be default value options, even if it is coming as a drop down, but as it is kind of an integer and we do not have any defined value right now. So if you want, you can give a default value, like whenever someone will be entering any data, if there is a blank value during insertion in that field, it will be automatically populated by default. That means during insertion, if you are not mentioning this column in your insert statement, then the default value will be populated, but it depends on situation to situation basis. Similarly, if you like to put any other details, just an example, I know my name is not a primary key, but I know it is a not, it's supposed to be not null, because if I'm creating a profile details, the ID without having a name details doesn't matter, right, in real time. So you can keep your name as not null. So this is a table that I'm just going to create, but this is the column structure. Now if you go to indexes, so you can create your own index explicitly. Let's say I would like to create an index on name. So if I click on the plus and then put as a name it's idx underscore name, just an example, and then it is asking for a type. So if you click on the type drop box, you will see only one option, that is called index. And when I will show you column store, you will get two different types. I will come into that later on. and then click on the index column. But the index column you cannot specify from this tab, you have to come to that down box there. So you can see that it is asking that what kind of an index you are going to create. Is it a unique or non-unique index? It depends on the checkbox. Obviously that I am going to create a name index, and there might be multiple person have the same name, so my name cannot be unique in this case. So I am just unchecking the unique checkbox. Now in the column list, either you can have a single column index or you can have composite index, correct? So in that different situation, whatever you like to create, you can choose accordingly. But for now, as I'm creating a single column index, just click on the name. So I'm clicked on the name, and then it is actually showing that what kind of an ordering is going to do. Are you going to store your value in an ascending order, or you can store your value in the descending order? So I'm just keeping it as an ascending order. Now, as of now, I have just defined the structure, but I have not created it. So let's see for what next there. So in the further properties, it is actually having different properties like temporary table and type, but you do not need it at this moment. Now, there are two ways you can create these structure tables. Either you can simply go and execute, then it will automatically create that one. But I would like to show you how the SQL statement will look like in this specific case. Okay, sorry, I just missed one part. That is a comment. So there is a common pattern of column level comment. So you can put any value there. So I can show you how the syntax will come in SQL. So it is just an example. Let's say I'm just putting as an unique ID, just an example. Now once it's done, so just click on the export to SQL, then click on the export to SQL button. Then you can see that it will show you the SQL statement which will run in background to create a table. So first thing is that it is actually your create table statement, whichever I have defined, your schema, that is the schema I created. This is the table I defined, that is the column and the data type, and then similarly the remaining columns. And if you remember, I created ID as a primary key, so it is showing as a primary key ID. Similarly, I have requested for a comment on the column ID, so you can see that this is the syntax, as well as this is the text which I have given in the comment section. Similarly, I have also selected for create index, so there's a reason. You can see if there is a syntax which is here, which is showing you that how the syntax will be looks like to create. And it's a very common syntax, like a create index, and then the index name and which table, which schema, and along with what are the columns are selected for that. So you can see it over here. Yeah, now let me create the table from that GUI itself. So I'm just clicked on to execute. You can see that it is now successfully created. You can see the statement log output as well, showing that yeah, your table is successfully created, your ID is successfully generated, and your comment has already been given on that one. So that means this table is currently created in the system. So let me refresh my catalog. Then this table is supposed to pop up in the list. So let me see that if it is coming over there or not. Yeah, now you can see this is the table which got created. Now let me create another table. We just created a row store. Let me create a column store table. So the overall structure will still be the same. I just am giving a my call tab, just any name, and then you know that is the schema. It will be same that what are the schema I have selected to create the table, and the type I have default it has actually created a column store. Now similarly, I'm just creating uh, three columns. One is first is the ID, number two is the name, number three is the address. So giving the same thing as a let's say begin whatever I have given. So varchar to 100 and then address varchar to 200. I have created id as key and name as not null and id comment, and let me give a comment this time to name. So say define, sorry, so define name, and then let me go to indexes. So in the indexes tab, now similar pattern, click on create an index. Let me put a name called idx underscore name. And what are the types? Now you can see there will be two options. One is called regular index, another is called full text search index. So regular index is the one which you can use for any type of behavior, but for full text index is basically a kind of a more sophisticated index which is usually created on the text field normally, where you can create your full text index search by your word character, fuzzy search and all those stuff. But I'm not going into all details at this moment. Let me create a single index here, and in the index column just I'm selecting name, I'm unchecking unique, and then in the you can see that it is showing you the column store data type. Again the same thing, because it will not be popped up here, it will be an automatic part. So if I will export it to SQL, you can see the difference in syntax. You can see only minor difference on that. So here you can see that is creating the table as create column table. Earlier what we have seen that that it is create row table, and if you see the remaining stuff, your syntax of creating column data type everything, it is same. And here it is the same as, let's say it's defining as a column comment and then create index, so rest of the stuff are still the same. So let me create that column level table here itself. Okay, so here what it is saying, it is showing us that could not execute create index idx underscore name on so and so, cannot use duplicate index name. Okay, very good. Why it is doing that? Because if you remember, I have used the same index name for my row column as well, because indexes are associated with table for sure, but it is an individual object to the database, so it should not have the same object and the same schema. So that's fine. So let me fix it quickly. So let me give idx name called call. Now you can see that I can use my SQL statement from here. So let me just execute this statement, create index. Now you can see that it is successfully created with the name idx name column. Then there is no conflict between the names. Now if I will refresh my table node one more time, so I should have two tables. One is row level table, another one will be the column level table. So let it get refreshed first, then I will show you. Yeah, now you can see I have two tables actually get created. One is the column table, another is the row table. Now if you see very minutely, you can see the icons are different. So in the column table, you can see it is showing you as a vertical column kind of an icon, and in the row level table you can see it is in horizontal kind of a column icon. So this is the difference that you can identify like when you create these tables. So this is a basic concept, that how you can create your tables. Then you can define grants to other schemas, other users, whatever you like to do, depending upon your need. Now, next thing which I would like to show you, that will be very interesting, that is how to import data to SAP HANA from flat file. So for that, what I need to do, I just have to go to my menu file, and there is a section called import. Let me click on import, and once you click on import, in that import tool you can see there is a folder called SAP HANA content. Obviously that when you are actually loading a data, it is a content, right? And select data from local file. Why local file? Because I will be passing this file from my local client. So click on that and click on next. So now it is asking to which system it will import it. So I have this one only in my catalog system, so it is showing the trial, so that is fine. Then click on next. Now it will actually ask you like the input file from where it will create the data. So I already had my data available. So I had at least 6 tables. So I can show you at least 2 of them, just an example. So let me copy the location and then let me pass this input parameter here. Just as example, let's say, let me create this one. Let me create the product. Okay. Now it is actually asking me file encoding. So if you click on the drop box, it is actually asking what kind of an encoding should do. You can keep it as a default or maybe UTF-8 depending upon type of data encoding required. Now, as this file is actually having column and header both available, so I am actually mentioning that header row exists. Okay, and then I'm clicking that import all data, and then it is having another option called ignore leading and trailing whitespace. Keep it like that. The next most important thing is that where the table supposed to get created. Now there will be 2 scenarios: either you already have a table available where you like to import the data, or maybe you would like to import the data along with creation of a table. So if you would like to create your table along with that to import data, then you should select the radio button called new schema, and then you have to select your schema over here. So let me choose, that is the schema which I had created, and as I have selected my table as a product, so let me give the table name as product as well, but that is nothing called mandatory, like what name you have to give. Any name you can give depending upon your business need. Now once it is done, then click on next. Then Hana processor will read your file content. Now see, it is very interesting here. Now the system has already looked into the file and it has identified that your header are actually having these 3 different columns. So if I like to cross check, let me go back, and in the product, let me open it. It's a CSV file, so it will open in Excel. You can see, yes, it is actually having 3 columns. So one is called product ID, one is called product description, and it's the product price. Now if you see the pattern of data, you can see the product ID is a unique field like P1 to P9. So from data modeling point of view, if you think, is obviously supposed to have a key field in the table, right? So in that you can select your product ID be your key field, and you can see it also contain value, so it is obviously a not null and unique. So let me go back to my Eclipse. Now you can see it is showing us how it will create it, and you have to select what type of store you are creating. If you remember, I mentioned like to store the data, you're supposed to have 2 options like column store and row store, and the table type is basically the structure, so it is not coming over here. Now in that it is now asking like how would you like to map your field. Map your field means, if you see your left hand side, these are the values which are coming from your file, but in the right hand side you have the option to edit it. That means it doesn't matter that if your input file column name is product ID, you should keep it as a product ID. No, it's not like that. You can put as a product ID underscore 1, product ID underscore 2, whatever you like to do. It can be defined like that. But the main thing is that whatever you create it over here, it should be mapped. Now, let's say if I am actually creating a new column. So let me create a new column. I'm giving a column name as column custom. Now, the main thing which will be required, that is I should have a input, right, from where I should get it. Now if I will ask this value to be mapped over here, you can see it is not allowing me to do, because there is only option that is called 1:1 mapping. But if I really need the column in the creation time, maybe what I can do, let me try, because I have never tried it earlier. Let me put a default value, let's say column, let me give it as a name as active flag, more significant name, and I'm just giving a value called um, varchar, and I know the value is only 1, so I'm giving a value called A for active. Okay, so there is no mapping, so you can say this is a flag value. Okay, now this is basically the column structure, and in the file data it is actually showing you the what kind of a data you are having. If you as you know, like, there are two ways we can do it. Either you can view it over here, or you can open your CSV file itself to see how the data looks like. Okay, now let me go to next. If you go to next, then it will showing you that what will be your target schema name, target table name, what is your source file name, and the data from file. Now you can see that it is showing you my custom field called active flag. Okay, and I have defined my default value is A, because I didn't have any kind of a mapping available, right? So it will create it by its default value. So let me click on finish. So let's see what it will do, as because it is running as a job. So you have to see that the job status. Oh, wow, so you can see that it has successfully completed. So you have that table created with the data, right? So let's refresh the catalog one more time to see that how it looks like at this moment. So it should pop up over here as a column store type table. So, and then we can see what are the values will come up. Okay, let me show you quickly that the table which got imported. So let's have a cross check of the value on that. So we know that we have this schema created, and let me just create a new SQL window just for a clarity perspective. So just set your default schema. This is the command set schema, and then execute that one. So it is done. Now just simply do select statement, select star from product. So then we get to know that if it has been loaded or not in the table. So yes, you can see that it has been loaded successfully. We have these 3 columns and the custom field active flag with the default value A. But if it is a nullable field, it isn't doesn't matter that if you are putting a default value or not. If it is null, then initially it will be populated at a blank value, and you can create multiple custom field as well during the creation of the table itself. Yeah, thanks for watching, and then you can subscribe in the channel if you really like it. Thank you very much.